Here we go. Hi, Chris. How are you today?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Thank you so much for being on. So, to begin with, how have you disrupted your class, either by creating a new assignment or project, using new technology, or trying a different approach in the classroom? Why did you make this change? How did it go?
Big questions here.
I know.
So I'm always trying to disrupt my classroom because there's so many new things that are constantly coming into my field. And so that is important to me. But when I was thinking about disrupting the classroom, I thought, why do I always want to disrupt the classroom? And I thought that was my first kind of impetus for doing new things or trying new things all of the time. And some of the reasons I do that is because I teach art history, and a lot of people don't even know what art history is. So part of my reason for doing new things is to make it relevant, to make it approachable, and really to connect with my students. And so that's why I take some of the approaches that I do. Some of them work and some of them not so much. So one thing I would start with, I definitely utilize technology. So I started, I think it was like one of the first people to ever teach in Blackboard here. It was like one of those things, they said, we need someone to teach in Blackboard. And I'm like, what is that? And so that was probably 18 years ago that I started online teaching, which was like revolutionary that no one wanted to do. And I was like, well, why not try something new? So it's also about reaching different students in different ways. So everything from, teaching online to using new technologies. So anything that like faculty development or, the CLEs have offered, I know they're called something different today, but I don't know what it's called now.
Instructional design and learning excellence.
Thank you, Kara. Exactly.
Kara, you passed.
So, like you want to use clickers, I'll try it. You want to do play pause it? Let's do it. I've tried to integrate that both into my on-campus classes and into my online classes too, just to mix it up a little bit because I think that's important. And I think it's a great way to like reach people in different ways, even within the same class period. So I do like using technology, and actually I work in a great field for technology because even though we think of art as something that, is only, handmade or is in a museum or on your walls, the art world has opened up to technology in ways that are like truly unbelievable today. So whether that's from conservation or, virtual tours online, VR, there's all sorts of things that can be utilized in the classroom and with my students using different types of technology. And the Clue Museum of Art, if you don't all know about ArtLens, they were one of the first people in the country actually to start something like that. And so, I just look around and see like, well, what are other people doing? And so if the art museum is utilizing technology in that way, I think it's a great way for people to learn about art. So I've tried to incorporate that into teaching.
Can you tell us a little bit more about ArtLens for those of us that maybe don't know
Yeah.
what you're referring to? Maybe I do and I just haven't heard it.
Sure, so it's an app that I use actually for all of my classes, whether you're on campus or not, or in the museum or not, but it is the Cleveland Museum of Art's app. And so it's a free app and it has access to all of the collection online. And it gives you there's videos and information, you can create your own tours, you can do all sorts of creative things with the art. But what's really important about it is that all of it is free access. So all of the images and everything, not only in ArtLens, but on the museum website. So just another way to use technology when it comes to art objects.
Interesting. Well, that explains it because I don't have enough storage room on my phone.
Oh.
Because I have too many pictures and so I can't put any new apps on my phone. So that explains why I don't have enough.
Okay, well, pictures are good. So,
Exactly.
but if you can download the app on any device, it's very, very informative and a great way to, explore things in a different way.
And I would say with the Museum of Art, especially, I know it's with the kids area, but just
Yes.
the different interaction pieces that they
Right.
have, it's just really incredible just to hang out there and to see exactly how they're incorporating technology.
Yeah.
Just to get more people interested in it. It's really fascinating.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I love the giant wall where it has you can find all the images.
Yes. Yeah.
I think that's really wonderful. And as you said, it's sort of a way to incorporate technology and maybe a field where people go, well, I don't see how these two things would go together. But they go together so
They go
incredibly well.
together. And it's not something to run away from. I mean, we have artists, some of the best artists right now are creating digital images and using technology in new ways. And that's always been the case through history, actually. When you think of photography, in the time people would say, no, my gosh, that's not art. Well, of course, we would never think that today. So I think incorporating technology is not something that we should shy away from. That it's definitely something to embrace in ways that we can, well, without losing some of the other aspects of teaching and learning.
Yeah.
So,
And one of the things that, since you mentioned the Cleveland Museum of Art, which I find fascinating, we talked about this before we started recording, is that you teach a class at the museum.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about how that came about? Was it sort of like, this is a natural fit, we need to be there? Did you go to the museum? Did the museum come to Tri-C? How did that sort of take shape?
Good question. So part of it is personal and part of it happened to fit right in with Tri-C. So I attended my PhD program was at Case Western Reserve and all of our classes were taught at the museum. So to me, that is where you teach and learn art history. So
Right.
when I came to Tri-C, I remember my interview when they said, what could you offer? What would you like to see in the department? And I said, well, I would like to see classes taught there. Because that's what I thought you should do, and we're close by and we have 3 campuses, and why wouldn't our students go there? And then once I was hired, I realized that Tri-C has a joint use agreement with the Cleveland Museum of Art, and that was a perfect avenue for us to create this partnership. And over the years, we have created a wonderful partnership with the Cleveland Museum of Art, and so we are able to hold classes there. We are able to bring students to exhibitions. We, have access to the films that they produce, the music programs they have. So it's been an amazing opportunity for our students and our faculty to work with the museum. And so the way I approached it was to see how many classes we could teach at the museum. And so we currently teach 3 courses, art history courses, at the Art Museum. I'm currently teaching one of those and other faculty are teaching the other 2. So we have classroom access, we have gallery access. And then because I was at the museum for so many years, I won't tell you how many years I was there doing my PhD. It was a long time. But I also have, a number of friends at the museum, and so getting students into, for example, the conservation lab or meeting with curators, things like that is something that's also incorporated into our classes, not just mine, but into the other classes as well. So it's a really object-based and focused class that you don't necessarily get in the classroom. We can replicate things, which is great, but when you're there, you're there. And so it gives students that opportunity. And I have to say, because my students are so awesome, several of them have gotten positions at the museum, whether that's in security or in other positions they maybe had, some type of internship or something like that. It has been a great opportunity for them to experience something like that too, and maybe, make that their career.
Yeah, I was going to ask about how students react to that level
Yeah.
of engagement, because that has to be pretty cool to
It's cool.
actually be there and be able to, because I imagine you travel to the different exhibits in the museum to look
Yeah.
at them.
Yeah, every week.
Yeah, I can imagine it being something that it's easier for them to connect to as opposed to, I'm not sure how the classroom looks, just looking at images, I
Yeah.
can imagine.
Yes, so it is like in the movies where you turn the lights off and slide up and slide up and slide, right? That can also be quite engaging though. I enjoy teaching that way too, but when you're in the museum, it's definitely different. I did a program last week, and maybe some of you have done it in your classrooms. It's another program actually that I went around like campuses promoting, and then COVID hit and we haven't done it, but it's back. It's called Art to Go.
I'm
And
familiar
so-
with it.
Yeah, okay, great. And so I just did it with my class last week. We were talking about art of the Islamic world. And so we had probably, 30 or 40 objects that were brought from the museum collection. So these are actual objects, mainly from, probably the 10th, well, maybe 11th century up until like today. And students, you have to put on gloves and, the educational staff is there with you, but we literally touch them, hold them, look at them, examine them, and have an hour discussion while we are holding these objects. Everything from tiles to glass to whatever we were doing this past week. But they also come to campus. So for my students that are slide after slide after slide, it was something that I incorporated every single semester, so that students did have that hands-on experience, even if they were here on campus, not at the museum. Or need to be at the museum to experience more things. And so faculty in every department can utilize that program. And we get several of them for free per year for Tri-C faculty. It's awesome.
That's so great to hear. Years ago, we did a faculty conversation, probably like 9 or 10 years ago. We did it at the Cleveland Museum of Art. This is obviously pre-pandemic. And they brought out one of the Art to Go kids, and it was, it was really incredible. Like, and I don't remember, what time period it was or anything like that, but I'm glad to see that we as Tri-C faculty could use it here at Tri-C. Like, do they transport it here for us and bring it to our classes?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Yep. So, and really you can, if anyone is interested, I guess the easiest way is to ask me, and not that I'm like the only conduit, but I have the people, that I work with at the museum, and we can arrange that anytime.
It's a great connection.
Yeah, it's wonderful. And that's in addition to math professors taking their students to an exhibit. Like, we can get tickets for that kind of thing. The museum is for everyone, so it works out well for us, but it can work really well for everyone else too, who's interested in utilizing it.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
And that's not the only museum, obviously. I mean, I keep talking about the CMA because we have this connection, but there are several other museums. I know Akron, we have the Contemporary Museum of Art, we have galleries around town and so on, that are fabulous for taking students. So Cleveland's awesome for that.
Yeah, absolutely. What is one of the best teaching or learning experiences for you?
Well, I think I experienced something like important and interesting and great every semester, because you just learn from your students. So maybe every subject is this way, but art is particularly this way. And so when someone says, "Oh, I see that in a painting," I'm like, "Really? I've literally never seen that before." And those are great moments for me when I can learn from my students. And then you're right, it is the hands-on stuff. It's, when we get into the conservation studio or my on-campus classes I would take to an Orthodox church every year before COVID, to look at Byzantine icons, in situ, so in their place, and how they're utilized. And it's just, those are my favorite things, in ways that I can learn from my students too.
Yeah.
What's the best teaching advice you've ever received?
I don't know.
Or maybe given?
Oh, that's a good twist. Yeah.
Yeah. I try not to give too much because I don't know what people think of my teaching, so I'm not going to tell someone else how to teach. I think it's, it's conversing with colleagues. I mean, you just learn so much talking with other colleagues and seeing, what are you all doing? How did you approach this? Or what technologies are you using? I mean, I do that all the time. I'm like, oh, that sounds cool. Show me how to do it. That's always, I think, important. There's been some really great faculty development things that have been, I think, helpful in advising and helping me learn how to teach. So I was in the EQ courses. I thought those were great.
Brian's a graduate of that.
Yeah.
No, they were fantastic.
Fantastic,
it really
right?
changed how I structure and look at my online classes. It was worth it. I mean, it really was worth it.
I thought the same thing. And some parts of the time I was like, yes, okay, I'm doing well. And then other times I was like, oh, geez,
Yeah.
really got to step it up over here.
Right.
So it was good. So I don't know if that would be called advice, but it's very, very helpful to always be looking at, in my opinion, what is out there, what's going on, what are people doing, and again, what else can I do? So, yeah.
taking advantage of the professional development opportunities,
Yeah.
which I see.
And now she's leading one of them. She's the colloquium co-chair.
Yes.
So
Colloquium.
I feel like this
Right.
is a perfect opportunity because you genuinely do learn best from each other and your
Yes.
colleagues, and I feel like you're giving faculty a time and a space to connect with each other and to share, and super excited. We're almost ready to share the program, right?
Yes, we are. So it's coming up, so everyone should be registered by now. January 8th, right?
Yes.
As-
No, colloquium is on January 9th.
9th, sorry.
But
the date
register,
behind.
yeah,
Yes.
register by the day before.
Right, so register by the 8th, be there on the 9th.
And how was that experience been for you, organizing, and helping to organize the colloquium?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I've enjoyed it actually. And that's something else, like you learn, these things just happen. Like I've attended every year I've been here. I thought,
Right.
oh, that's nice. Someone shows up, puts this on, and I learn stuff. But to understand, that whole process and frankly, getting to know what faculty are doing is amazing. So half of these people are, on my campus or I know, and I was like, I didn't know they were doing that. I mean, this is awesome. I didn't know they wrote this book or that they were engaging in this. Like, it's really been cool to, I think we don't give ourselves enough credit sometimes about all of the stuff we do. And, we're teaching a lot of classes and it's like, all right, just get through the semester. But in the meantime, we are all really working hard at other things to improve what we're doing in our career. And so being able to help facilitate that has been awesome. And it's a great team, seriously. So that has been really nice.
Yeah. We're moving into the second section
Okay.
of the podcast. 5 questions. So
Rapid fire.
yeah, so you don't have to elaborate. If you want to, that's fine. But the first one, it's been my personal favorite since we started this new structure, fact or fib. We're going to ask you to give us something interesting about you, but it doesn't necessarily have to be true. When we get through all the questions, we'll come back and Kara and I will determine if it was true or not. So, fact or fib, give us something interesting about you.
Okay, so you may or may not know this, but I'm also a practicing artist, and so I have my own studio and enjoy working on my own art.
What is your medium of choice for this work?
Painting.
Okay,
And we're answering now or later?
later.
Later.
But I just want to get
Okay.
trying to get specific details. Favorite teacher and why?
Oh, favorite teacher and why? That's a really hard question for me. I don't know why. Maybe because I had several, or maybe I had none. I mean, I guess over like my educational career, my favorite teachers were the ones who I think had a connection somehow, seemed interested in how you were learning and what you were learning. So I would say just kind of generally, I try and take what I enjoyed from my own academic experiences and bring that to my students. And then also take the ones that I didn't like and make sure I
Don't become that.
yeah.
If you have one, most embarrassing moment in the classroom.
I don't have one, but I had a fear of one.
Oh, what was that?
So I used to teach in the lecture halls at West. I haven't had a class in there for some years, but I don't like to just stand. And so I would like go up the stairs and like try and be in the student space. And my fear always was like, I am going to fall at some point down these stairs.
Yeah, either up
And
or
I
down.
and I could think like, okay, so what do I do? And like, what will my students do? And what if I, like hit my head and pass out or something like in class? So that was my fear, but it never happened, thank goodness.
Are you still in the lecture halls or?
No.
are you out of okay.
Yes, so we now have a stable one floor classroom.
There
We usually
Pass beyond that fear.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, so.
Did you find teaching or did teaching find you?
Teaching found me, yeah.
Could you elaborate on that?
Yes, I thought I was gonna be a lawyer, so I did my undergrad in political science, thought, oh, I'm going to go to law school, And then I took the LSAT and I was like, I'm not going to law school anytime soon. So I was like, I have to kind of change gears here a little bit. So I went into college admissions and I worked in admissions for several years and I loved it. It was an amazing first job out of college. And then after a few years, I thought, okay, I've been doing this, you travel a lot. So I went back for my master's in humanities. And then when you have a master's in humanities, you're like, well, I don't know what you do with a master's in humanities.
You do everything.
Everything.
Everything is open
Anything
to
you
you.
want, right.
That's right.
And they kind
Don't
of
let
fly.
anyone tell you differently.
Right, I am a huge advocate for the humanities, obviously.
Yeah.
But I was kind of like, I'm at a crossroads here. And so then I decided to go back for my PhD. And when I did, I thought, well, I better be in something I like. And I literally had taken like 2 art history classes in undergrad. And I thought, I really like those. Why not do that?
Mhm.
I don't know what crazy person like goes into that, but I did. And then, like I said, when I was in my PhD program, I wanted to work part-time. So I worked in the admission office here at Tri-C. And then someone in it was the art department then, right before it was creative arts, said, aren't you in graduate school? And I was like, well, yes. Do you ever want to teach? And I was like, well, sure. And so I literally started as an adjunct while I was, finishing my work. And then thought, well, this is amazing. I love Tri-C and I never wanted to leave here. And so I just kept doing that. And then I'm here. Yeah. So
It's quite a journey, right?
Yeah.
And we're all happy
Good
that
one.
you're here.
Yeah.
me too. I'm
Glad it all
thrilled.
worked out.
It's amazing.
So when I gave you some of these questions ahead of time, I gave you 4. And this list has 5 because I actually pulled the wrong list.
Oh,
So
practice question.
since I said 5, everyone gets to hear the question that we ended up eliminating in some
Okay,
previous things.
okay.
So if you have an answer for this one, that's fine. If not, we can just skip it and I can just cut this whole part out. Is there another academic discipline that you're jealous of?
Oh.
And you're the first person to ever get this question. So we'll see how this goes if we ever ask anyone else this question.
Yeah, and if I answer poorly, you can edit, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
That I'm jealous of.
Yeah.
Ooh. I mean, I don't want other faculty to hate me, but I'm a little jealous of the sciences. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Why?
am. I love the sciences, and art and science, of course, come together very nicely.
They come together very
Um,
nicely.
But when it comes to funding and things like that,
Mhm.
other disciplines seem to get a little bit more than the arts, and so it can, give me a twinge of jealousy now and then. Like, I
And
wish
you
we
have very
had.
nice labs, science labs are very nice.
Well, I agree
Yeah.
because my background is creative writing. And so, especially looking at my kids in school, it's STEAM, STEAM, STEAM. And now suddenly if they're trying to push, STEM.
STEM.
STEM, but now they're trying to push STEAM. So they're like squeezing that,
Yeah, but
art's
they
in there.
squeeze
They
that A
squeeze it in there.
Yeah,
and then the art part is sort of like,
Yeah.
draw a picture of these molecules.
Right.
Like that.
yeah.
But I understand that.
Yeah, so maybe that's,
Yeah.
which is unfortunate because seriously, like, we are so connected. I've talked to wonderful, science faculty here who are like, why aren't we teaching together? Because our disciplines overlap so much. And that is true. So no need to be jealous. Maybe we just need to collaborate more.
I think that's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Open up the collaboration.
And just give us a new studio and gallery. If
That's right.
That's all I would
That's
ask.
it. So going back to Factor Fib, practicing artist,
Mhm.
painter. Kara?
What's our track record so far?
We're awful.
Oh, we are, okay, so.
Mainly because people trick us a little bit.
They do.
Because they it's part fact and part fib. So I could say you're a practicing artist, but it's not painting. Could be.
Okay, so that was my intuition, was that, yes, I could totally see that she'd be a practicing artist. I thought maybe it was ceramics instead of painting.
Okay.
Okay.
What did you think?
Well, I was thinking the same way because
Okay.
everyone else has made me think that everyone's
Okay.
Like,
What-
you
we're
know
trying to-
mixing it up a
yeah.
little bit, right?
Yeah, trying to
Um,
outsmart the kids here, so.
Right. Right. So I did, but I don't have a different I was thinking practicing artist, yes, but maybe not a painter. I wasn't sure. So, what is it?
I do nothing in art. I am not a practicing artist of any kind, no. But it's a huge misnomer for art historians. Everyone thinks we're artists.
Okay.
We are historians
Yeah.
that work in art. So,
Well, our track record
I-
remains the same.
I mean, you win some, you lose some.
Right, yeah, that's right.
We just lose all of them, I guess.
Literally.
no, I mean, really, even stick figures are
Yeah.
very tricky for me.
Okay.
So, I wish I had
Yeah.
some of that talent, and I'm sure you could develop it. But do not consider myself very creative in that realm at all, nor talented whatsoever.
So not even doodling during WebEx meetings or anything like that?
No, I mean, it's
Okay.
kind of, yeah, no. Which also on the flip side, I think makes me appreciate artists more
Mhm.
because I cannot do that.
Yeah.
And so when I see someone that can, I'm like, wow,
Wow, your
that's
brain
mind
works like
blowing.
that.
Yeah. So,
All right.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for
It
having
was
me.
great having
This
this
is fun.
conversation. And yeah, I hope the end of your semester goes well and the beginning of next
You too.
semester goes well. And hopefully colloquium will go
We'll see you all
well.
at
That's
colloquium.
over.
Yeah.
See you all at colloquium. All right, well, thank you so much.